Hey guys, welcome to LITTLEBLACKBOOK91. I almost just choked backstage here. Listen, we are here with the fabulous Catherine from Kings of Court Season 1. Yes, if you've been watching along with myself and tuning in to King's Court Season 1, then you know that we've been talking a lot about the relationships that have been built between the men and the ladies. And it's been an intriguing journey watching the ladies try to vie for the king's hand in this particular show. And I've decided to gather Catherine onto here so we can explore her journey as well. Catherine, how are you doing today?
Oh, with you. I personally chose you because you're a therapist, you're a male, and I value your input. You're not an American, so I just wanted a very unbiased. And I just want to say before we start the interview, I'm welcome for any feedback. I value your professionalism, your experience. So be unbiased, unfiltered. Let's go.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it because, a lot of people think I'm a therapist. Actually, I'm not. I'm just a coach. So you've given me a blessing there. Maybe you're speaking something into my life. A proper sign. You know what I mean? I'm receiving it. I'm receiving it. So now we appreciate you for coming on here as well and also sharing your journey with us. Because I think, like I said, watching yourself, we did a review of yourself and of I call him Titus, but Thaddeus's conversation in episode 8. So I was intrigued by the dynamics. So I'm excited to see your POV in terms of what you experience on the show as well. But before we get there, because I got to make sure, listen, you're looking lovely, first of all.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
I dressed up.
I've got to turn down my flirting a little bit. You know what I mean? I got to chill. They told me I got to chill nowadays. So, you know what I mean? But we got to get to know you first and make sure that you're actually a human being. Yeah, because we're going to do human verification. A few questions to ice break. Just make sure you're not AI. Okay? In 2025, it could be, Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
No worries at all. Okay. Just a quick few fire questions. Question number 1, iPhone, Android?
iPhone. But I am a fan of Android, though, for obvious reasons.
Okay. I'm definitely hearing you. Android, okay. Question number 2. Favorite color?
Green. Easy. Green. I love green.
Ooh. Is that in color as in what you like, or is that also in dress color? Because sometimes there's a little bit of difference.
Both. I like green, what I like, and green dress color. I'm attracted to the color green. So
that's very true. You was wearing a green dress, if I remember correctly. I think it might be in episode 3 towards the end. It's a nice little green dress.
Yes, and for the first elimination, I think I had green on.
Okay, definitely hear you. Okay, I'm seeing you green. Okay. If you had an open-ended plane ticket, you can go anywhere in the world, anywhere you like. Where would you go?
2 places popped up. First was Maldives, but that's selfish because I need a vacation right now. But I would say Africa, Tanzania. Tanzania would be great.
Okay. Yeah. Have you ever been?
No, I have a girlfriend from there, and the pictures are just amazing. So I think she's getting married next summer, so I will be there.
Okay, so you got an excuse. Okay, I see it. We'll see you in Tanzania. Yeah. I mean, I won't be there, but I'm just saying we'll see you in Tanzania.
You might. I don't know.
I mean, you never know. They might invite me. You never know. Nice. Okay, so Tanzania. I like it. Okay. And my favorite question, cereal or the milk in the bowl first? We have to see the mindset.
Ooh, you always have to. So I don't care for milk. So let me start there. I don't care for cow's milk because it just.
I'm an almond.
But I do like cereal in the bowl first. Yes.
Okay. 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 Any particular cereal that you like?
I like shredded wheats. I like grain.
Oh,
Yeah. What's
okay.
your
Okay.
favorite? Tell me about you. What's your favorite?
Listen, I mean, listen. I like shredded wheat too. Can't lie to you. I like shredded wheat. Um, there's a thing called Wheatos. You might guys call it. It's Fruity Loops, but with chocolate instead.
Weedo, yes.
Chocolate. Yeah, Wheatos. Yeah. So we love the Wheatos, and I'm a big fan of brown flakes as well. Brown flakes is good for you. It's healthy. You know. Now
Mhm.
I'm on almond milk, no sugar and no lactose because the body can't take it no more. So
Yes, that's
yeah.
perfect. That's perfect. Shout
The
out to
cows are gonna be
everyone in
definitely.
the chat. I love
I
the
see them.
energy. I
I see
know. The
them.
people
They're
showed up.
fully.
Dr. Rose, Ariel, Tay. I
Mm-hmm.
El Sid, she has her own channel too. Shout out to you guys for joining
Yeah.
and giving energy. We see you.
They're gonna trickle in as we go along. Trust me, they're gonna
Yeah.
pop in. Okay. Well, listen, you've passed our human verification. We believe you're a human being. So we have passed that with flying colors, and we're ready for the next section. So this next section, I've got a deep question straight away. I'm just gonna you know what? If you can swim, fantastic. If you can't, I'll bail you out. But I want to throw you in the deep end straight away.
Okay.
So here's my question: Who is Catherine, and what is Catherine's story?
Catherine. Catherine is a Detroit born, resilient survivor. She's adventurous in her
Mm.
life. She doesn't judge herself. She loves to laugh. She's very socially responsible and she leads with passion.
Oh, okay. Leads of passion. Okay. What are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about my family. I'm passionate about
Hmm.
my my purpose. And
Okay.
I'm passionate about owning my life and the adventure that I lead with.
Hmm. Okay. So you say you're passionate about the adventure that you lead with, the life that it leads with. Okay. I like that. So I want to ask a question here then. I mean, that's all I'm going to do all day. Um, one word to describe your childhood.
My childhood, I would say a ton of lessons. He's already in his therapy
Hmm.
bag, by the way. I see him.
Very
I see, I see him.
just said.
So I am. I loved growing up in Detroit, but we had a very
Okay.
cultured family. We had theaters and things like that.
Hmm.
So I was often going to the Fox Theater, seeing shows. So I love the arts. I was on my own at 15. I moved
Wow.
out. My parents were separated when I was 12. Um, I'm sorry, at 8. My mom remarried at 12, and I didn't go back with her. But at 15, I just really wanted to be on my own. I was renting my own place, and I wanted to graduate high school. I was a virgin. I was very focused on just designing my life. I felt like I owned designing my life at a very early age.
Wow. What took you to a mindset that at 15, because that's quite a young age. I mean, I moved out at 26, so that's a whole amount of years after. What was happening for you that you decided that at 15 you were going to move out on your own? Like, I don't think it's even legal to move out on your own like that. Do you know what I mean? So
It
what was
really
going on? You
wasn't.
decided to move out.
Yeah, it really wasn't. So I was living with relatives. I was living with my grandmother,
Okay.
but her house was so crowded. It had so many people in it.
See.
And I was working at a nursing home and buying groceries for my neighbors. And one of my elder neighbors, I was doing chores for her. She said, well, you could just kind of have a room here. And so I was renting from her. And so it was kind of tribal. It didn't happen planned out or
Mm,
anything like that. And it was with love, and nothing dramatic happened with my family, but I felt I had more focused time and not a chaotic house like my grandmother with all the cast of characters.
mm. What was your experience like then living a more independent life from such a young age? What was your experience then being on your own and having to quote unquote fend for yourself as well in that space?
I think earlier on, it taught me how to save money because you have surprises.
Mm,
I wasn't buying a lot. I think earlier on, I started thrift shopping because I liked looking professional early because I felt like I got higher paying jobs. At 14 years old, 15, I was 15. I made $15 an hour.
Wow.
At that age, because I had negotiated it. So at an earlier age, I identified that if I had imposter syndrome and just saw myself as an elder or a more mature person, I was valued in return.
Now, how did you get to a place at 15, 16, 17, however old you were, to have a job, number one, but number two, to also negotiate salary? Some of us ain't even doing that till at least 25. How did one get that mindset that they started now thinking, because you're talking from a very mature standpoint at 15. I'm just trying to picture it, you know what I mean? So, help us understand that. 15, you're negotiating your own salary. What gave you the balls, as we say in England, to the gall, to even have the courage to say, I'm going to negotiate my salary here?
So it was Lewis College of Business here in Detroit. It was a smaller college, one of the first historical Black colleges here in Detroit. And they had this posting for a financial aid advisor. And I negotiated with them. I said, hey, I'm in high school. I think I was in June. I was a junior. And I said, I'm doing this right now. This is my life. And they said, no, you're too young. And they couldn't find anyone. So they said, I kept going back every day. And they said, fine, just give it to her. And I said, well, no. The posting says this amount. And it wasn't 15. I'm sorry. It was $9, but it was still 3 times minimum wage. And so I negotiated. And I do believe you get what you didn't negotiate, for sure.
Wow. Okay. But then I'm thinking to myself, who taught you?
I don't know. I think survival. Detroit has grit. So anyone from Detroit, that's just how we are. Detroit hustles harder, and survival, just wanting to survive and design my life.
So amongst all the weeds and the thorns of Detroit, as you're saying, the hustle and the grit that you had to endure, as a young individual, what was your dream?
My dream was to see the world. I felt like I was a resident of the whole planet, and I didn't want to just be in Detroit. I think on the show, they may have mentioned that I was a veteran. So I am an Army vet. And when I left high school, I joined the military, and it immediately launch pad me out to live in other countries. And that changed everything for me.
Wow. So joining the Army, thank you for your service as well.
Thanks.
Joining the Army and then flying around the world. What takes you into the Army? I know that probably you had an itch that you want to see the world, but what takes someone, because we've gone from business now into the Army. Where's that jump coming from? Why is it that we're looking to go into that space? What was happening that you decided to take up that venture?
So I had several siblings that were in college. Marshall, shout out to Marshall, Marlon, Mark. And they weren't there, and I wasn't really in-house. So I had applied to colleges and I got accepted, but I couldn't wrap my head around simply getting there, the logistics of getting there. And I was an ROTC student, and it was just easier. And I did commit to going to school. That's very important. Anyone watching this, if you join the military, go to school, finish school. So I did commit myself to doing that. That's very important if you go. So it was just easier logistically, I think.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
He's analyzing me, guys.
My brain is spinning. All right, my brain is spinning. Okay. So, how long did you serve for, and what was that like for you? Because first of all, being a woman, going into that space, you've left home as well early. So, what was your experience being in the Army, and your experience as a woman entering into that space, which is oftentimes termed as a very masculine male space? What was it like for you venturing in that space as a woman?
I loved the diversity in the military, and I loved what I did. So I worked in telecommunications and military intelligence. And I love that everyone was from everywhere. They had stories, and it forced you to harmonize with different characters. And living abroad helps you to really realize how others view Americans. And that's a large part of why I wanted to meet with you. And it changes how you see yourself, coming from little Detroit, which is big Detroit, but little planet, it was eye-opening to see how others lived. And it forced me to accept that others get to have their own experience. They get to live how they live. I don't get to tell them how they live their lives.
Coming into that space of meeting different cultures, you're coming from Detroit, as you've just said, obviously, you get to see that people have their own, perspective and viewpoints and stuff. Other than that, what was a major shift in your perception when it came to the way that you view the world at that point in time? Because obviously, like I said, you're coming into a new space as well. So what were some of the changes that were happening for your perception then, encountering all these cultures?
So spiritually, I had a shift. So growing up Christian, one of the first countries I lived was in Korea. I also lived in Japan. And seeing how they experienced faith was somewhat different. They had Muslims in Korea, they had Christians, Jainism, Judaism, Buddhism, everything. And I'm very humbled to how people experience the divine. Everyone experiences the divine in their own unique way. And that was pivotal. During that time, I had very strong dreams, very spiritual dreams, and it shifted how I embraced others.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Obviously, encountering different cultures shifts a perspective. Because even myself, before 2020, I hadn't visited Ghana, my home country, as an adult. Yeah, originally from Ghana. So born and bred in UK, but parents are originally from Ghana. And the last time I had been was 2000. But I was a kid. I wouldn't remember nothing really, truly. So when I went in 2021, it was a major shift in terms of perception. But even though I knew that Africa is a beautiful place, Ghana is a beautiful place, it's a land of rich culture, people, and the opportunities are vast there, coming from there. My perception of the place still was westernized and limited. So when I finally touched soil, it changed not only my perception, but also my ties to my roots. So the way I started seeing myself, I found a level of pride about where I come from, you know what I mean? And actually I started pushing away the British identity, if you want to call it that. I started identifying more with my Ghanaian roots, learning the language a bit more and everything like that. So it does change you when you encounter something like that and you encounter new terrain, new territory, new people, new experiences. It definitely shifts you because the ignorance keeps you in a particular box. And once you get new knowledge, it honestly expands that perspective. So I can understand in that particular space as well. Okay.
I like that.
Oh, flow on. I'm listening. Sorry.
No. I was going to ask you which roots, and then you answered after that. And that's beautiful for you to, experience that and then shift your identity. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think everybody needs a little bit of a, wherever you're from, going back there, it will shift you. It will bring your heart closer to those roots, So if anybody is from anyone else, they should always go back and check it out, Doesn't have to be Ghana, wherever you're from, you know what I mean? Okay, so not leaving actually. How long did you serve, and then what was your next move after that? Because of course, being in the army, you install a level of discipline. You are cultured to be someone who is eagle-eyed. Make sure you're on point. So then, what's the next move after this? Where was your heart leading you to after this?
So let me back up. So I joined the military, virgin, had not really dated much, and I got married young. I was 19. And I was married. I stayed in the military for 4 years. And once I got pregnant with my son, I just didn't want to be in that environment. I did stay and work government for over a decade, but we were back in the States. And but my 4 years there were just very rich with experience, and I loved it. I didn't have any bad experiences that I can think of. I've had a good experience, but I know many others don't. So
I love that. So wait, 19. Okay, we're doing everything young
there
here.
we go. I knew I
Okay,
had.
we negotiating. We in business. Baby, we doing everything young here. Okay, so okay, let me back up with you.
I
At
knew I had.
19,
Yes, I was 19.
what you know at 19 getting married? Okay? Wait, come on, bring us in a little bit. Color my life a little bit. Let's
Okay.
color some of these pictures in. At 19, wait, first of all, who did you meet? Who is he? You know, who was he to you at that point in time? I mean, obviously, completely detailed, but we want to understand something. Wait, at 19, what's going on? Because you said
So
you're virgin, you're new to
so
this. What's going on? Mhm.
we had a great marriage. I later
Okay.
divorced, but because we were too young, we were very, very
Okay.
young. He was 4 years older than I was. Great guy,
Fair.
and he and I had a great experience. There was a very passionate relationship, very respectful. No mean or hateful talk at all. We ended up separating because of spiritual reasons. He kept shifting his
Oh,
religions, and it became difficult to follow. So with him, I submitted
okay.
totally. Yeah, I was excited to submit. He was very sharp. And submission, I would like to say this part. It was
Please.
easy submitting to my husband fully because he valued me as a woman. He knew I was smart. He would
Mm,
say, "My wife is smart." If I said something, he would listen. And then even if he didn't take my decision, I felt a value because he listened. And we had a great marriage, but we identified that our paths weren't aligned, and
mm.
it ended. Mhm.
So, okay, wait. When you met each other, what were your respective beliefs at the point then?
So we were both Christian, but we
Okay.
met in Korea. We did meet in Korea, and
Oh,
we explored
wow.
religions there. Yeah, and we that was one of our main ties. We were both very spiritual, and we studied, Judaism, Buddhism, and I appreciated the interconnectedness of those religions. It doesn't really resonate with me specifically to any specific religion anymore, but Christianity was very strong in my life. He went toward Islam, and it was hard for me. I just told him it
Oh,
didn't resonate with me, and
yeah.
it was a clash. So
Mm. What, I mean, without obviously exposing yourself too deep, what were some of the clash that were happening there? Because obviously, I know that Islam, as a man, he can have a Christian wife, in
mhm.
that respect, and he seems to be as you've described, a respectable individual person. So, what was then the defining kind of straw that's breaking the camel's back? Because it seems like you both are respectful people, and I know that they can marry into a Christian woman. So, what was the kind of disparity between the two of you that you're facing, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. As with all marriages, is multiple things, right? But that was
Okay.
probably one of the pivotal things. Um, he wanted to live abroad in some of the countries that have that lifestyle, and I felt like that would just totally change me. So it would have been different than just being here in America and supporting him, because of course I supported. I wouldn't. When he fasted, I would fast. I know some of the prayers still today, but I
Mm.
couldn't live in another country, and it would be hard. So
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay, fair enough. I totally understand. Okay,
The
wow.
comments are funny. So
Mm,
the comments are funny.
mm,
Hi,
mm.
y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So coming out of that marriage, what were the key lessons that you learned from that marriage then?
What I learned is friendship is really important. We were very good
Mm,
friends. And what I learned is that family is important as well. We both had very strong families. Communication is important, and honoring someone's journey. I think in retrospect, I could have honored him going through his path and supporting him. But in my immaturity, I was so eager and excited and oppressed
mm,
with wanting to live out my own, that it was quick to pull the trigger prematurely. So
mm,
I take
mm.
responsibility for that.
What were you trying to live? I know you have dreams, but what were you trying to
So
live?
one of the places was Bolivia. Bolivia was a better option, but some of the others were over in Qatar and like in that area. I wouldn't have wanted to live over there with a
Okay,
child.
so it seemed I get you saying. So there was obviously a little bit of disparity in terms of living spaces and where you want to be, and that obviously contributes towards that as well. Okay, and you've admitted that obviously you could have probably been a bit more patient with him and stuff like that as well. Okay, okay, I'm hearing you. How long did that marriage last?
7 years. 7.
Wow. Okay, so at that point you're 26. That's a lot of life to be lived. That's only half your life at that point. Okay,
Yeah.
so 26 now. With you having dreams of trying to live somewhere else, you've got a child as well. You've got a big bad world out there as well. What is the vision at 26 then now? Because you're coming out of a marriage, you have some experience in work, and you're now a mother as well. What's the world saying to you at that point in time, and where was your feet trying to take you at that point?
Well, becoming a mother, that was the nucleus of my existence. Every decision that I made was with him. And I even tell him now that he helped me to become the woman that I am, because as soon as you get pregnant, it becomes real. I think I took 4 tests just to see the colors show up on the test. Again, I couldn't believe it. And it forces you to show up as your best self, because you have other little people depending on you.
Okay. So it forces you to be your best. Okay. So where is that next step then after that then? So you're like I said, you're for you're forcing you to be your best self. How do you look to navigate the world then? Because at that point, like I said, you now got a fend for a little one. So what's your next step after that? Where you go into? What's that next platform you're trying to achieve?
So I will say, immediately after, once we became separated, I remember the feeling of thinking, wow, I have no influence over that household over there now. I remember thinking that, like, man, like it's our house and their house. But after that, I focused on, finishing my degree and having the career, having all of the activities in the right school and things like that. I became engaged again after that. But my engagement, I've been engaged a couple of times. I said that on the show. I don't want to say the number.
Yeah, that's okay.
Tari has the fans. This is her fan. But I do require premarital counseling, because I think it's important to have formal counseling just to get all the things out. So.
Okay. I'll definitely hear you. Okay, so
What?
So okay. I'm intrigued, and I'm going to tell you why I'm intrigued. Has anyone told you that you are very concise with your answers? Help me to understand that. Why are you so? Because it's like you are to the T, like you are.
I think that's conditioning. I do a lot of public speaking, and I try, even on the show, I got a ton of one-liners, and I tend to do that. So yeah, great observation. Great observation. I tend to do that. Just not checkers. Yeah.
I remember that too. I'm intrigued. I'm trying to. You know what I mean? Okay, so where did this? Because we know you. Well, I know because I was watching the show. Where does chess come into play? When did your love for chess take hold of you?
Okay, so we lived in Maryland, my son and I. We moved back to Michigan to be closer to my family. I wanted my children to have the full experience of being around the grands and the rest of my families and have the stories. So my son, I put both of my children in absolutely everything. And chess was one of them. I even created this resume for them so I could balance out physical and mental activities like STEM and science and DAPSEP, things like that. So chess, they have it here at the DIA. Detroit Institute of Arts. And the founder, Kevin Feit, started the program. He needed help, and that's how I initially became the vice president. But now I'm the president of it. 22 years. And this is my commercial. So in school in Americas, we lose a lot of music programs, art, but a lot of programs. So not every kid is athletic or musical or artistic for scholarships, but all of them can think. And so I'm really proud about my program because we teach children how to strategically think.
So if you describe, probably a tough one actually. I think I'm being cheeky, but we'll go for it. If you were to describe your life as a chess move, what would it be?
I was gonna say Queen's Gambit because everyone here would kind of know what that is, but I would even say Pawn Sacrifice. That's a common one, but Queen's Gambit I think is great because of the resiliency and just being able to be stealthy a little bit and mysterious. A lot of women lose their mystery element nowadays. So
you are mysterious because I feel like we're getting somewhere, but I feel like there's a little bit more to understand. So with this 26 president, you're also becoming president of chess as well in Detroit. So strategy is a major thing. Before chess, were you a strategist?
I think so. I was also on a debate team too, and you saw my skills in episode 8. I'm just joking.
Oh no, we saw the skills. No, tell the truth. We saw the skills.
Resolve. I'm just joking. No,
we saw the skills. We saw the skills.
Yeah.
I definitely saw the skills.
But I think it's important avocation is very important. Being able to communicate your positioning is important. We should all have a voice and it should be received. So
growing up, was it difficult? Because listen, you're a very beautiful woman, right? So was it also difficult? No words at all. Truth is free. Was it difficult being able to navigate the world, being a beautiful woman? Because you know how men are, and this world that we live in. You're trying to navigate. You're young now at this point too. You've gone to the army. You've worked jobs as well, right? What was your experience in people taking you seriously and not looking at the facade, and rather just looking at you as an individual person?
So I've never aimed to be beautiful. My sister Marshall was always a cheerleader and a model. And growing up, I just thought, oh, wow, she's so beautiful. But for me, I always sought to be valuable. That was my positioning. And I remembered at an earlier age, I wanted, because I wasn't being physical with the boys in high school, I didn't want to be noticed, because I wasn't putting out, so I wanted to kind of subdue that. I had a ton of friends, male friends we have this huge brotherhood. And I felt like I was observing more and I wanted to learn more so that I could survive better. Survival was my main goal, was just to survive. So being pretty didn't mean as much as someone giving me a compliment on my spirit, because that was more timeless or just forever, something I had control over.
What did you not have control over then?
What I didn't have, we all don't have control over our circumstances sometimes, whatever is thrown at us. So I always felt like I was trying to navigate or tread whatever was thrown my way.
What was thrown your way?
I would say adversity and just surprises of life. I mean, we all go through those, and I gained confidence through those. So I'm cool with having a not so good experience. I was cool with some of the things that happened on the show because, you learn, you evaluate, and that's why, I'm excited to go through and unpack some of that with you, because that's the only way we can learn and grow ourselves.
Okay. One or two questions before we get into the show. So I'm intrigued because I moved out at 26. I remember I went to university, 21. I remember my mum told me, listen, you don't need to go and stay there. She said, you can stay at home and go to university. Now, I am fascinated that at 15, one moves out and there's no kamikaze things happening at this age. As in, home was just was like, yeah, go on, you just go ahead. And as a young lady too, not as a young man, as a young lady, you know, I know the world has changed a lot, but as a young lady, just moving out at 15, and there's no reason as to why this is, you know what I mean? It almost sounded almost normal. And I'm like, I've never heard anybody at 15 move out and it be normal. You know what I mean?
I still saw my family, and it wasn't a lot. Nothing dramatic happened. I just felt like it was peaceful and it was predictable. I could do my homework. I didn't have to come home and my things were missing. You know, it was like coming to America. If I bought something nice and I put it in laundry, I would see it with someone walking around the house with my stuff on. So for me, it was just privacy and just, you know, being able to control my environment a little bit.
That's not small.
It's not small. Okay.
No, it's not. It's not small. It's not small. Yeah, your privacy and your boundaries being invaded is not a small thing. Right? It's definitely not small because you decided to move out. I mean, listen, we couldn't leave anything in the fridge long enough.
See?
For 3 other siblings.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I have 3 other siblings, right? You can't leave anything in the fridge. But I also didn't move out at 15.
Well, you should have. You would have had all.
Maybe I should have.
The Weedos.
Maybe I should have. You know what I mean? That's why I'm intrigued. I'm like, okay, wait, there's more to I'm feeling like there's more to. Okay, so let me ask. I'm going to ask a very direct question. How comfortable is it talking about your relationship with your mom and your dad growing up?
I'm comfortable with it. I will say I do honor them. I lost them both. I actually lost them within days of each other. Some of my friends that are on live know this. My dad had cancer, and I was caring for him for about a year. And my mom passed the day after his funeral. She went into cardiac arrest, and it was sudden. But I do honor them. So, well, I'm comfortable talking about it. Sure.
Okay. I just want to make sure, you know, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I also want to make sure we're always good together, you know? So because again, I would say this. Okay, you have a son, right? 2?
I have 2 that I know of, 2.
Okay. Hey, listen, I got to make sure I do my test. So 2 that you know of, right? Would you allow your son at 15 to leave the house?
They can do whatever they want. Yes. And I even at a earlier age, I allowed them to navigate their lives. I supported them with some things. And I want to break their privacy with some things, but they have some challenging situations that I just kind of was hands off. And I think it's because of how I was brought up. I said, what are you going to do? I can advise you, and that's just that. That's your life. Do it.
Okay. I definitely hear that. So I asked my 2 questions already. So I'm going to forward it now. Okay. What takes you on to King's Court? Because like I said, you're a very beautiful woman. All right. I'm sure you have no shortage of suitors. You know, that's me being presumptuous. But what takes you on to King's Court?
So it was the adventure of it all. I have a girlfriend who was the one who encouraged me. The show was promotion was trying to get, you know, as many people to audition, and she encouraged me to do it. I said, okay, here, you know, let's do it together. And when it kept going to different phases of the casting, I thought, okay, well, this is adventurous. Let's just go and see. Let's see what it is. And when I heard Bravo, you know, I thought, well, how many chances do I have to be on Bravo? And then just the adventure of it all. I wasn't sure. I prayed through each process of going through things. And I love that I had the bravery to do it, because it is very exposing, very much so.
It is. And you're putting yourself on Front Street, and Bravo is not a small network. So, it's nation, global wide as well. Okay. All right. So, I mean, what was your expectations versus what you actually experienced? Did it line up? Did it match up? And if so or not, why?
Big no. Big no. El Cid, I'm right. Bravo is housewives territory. And I think that what we were pitched was very different than what we had. A lot of it was mystery. So we didn't know a lot of the things going into it. But I fully, accept that's their show. We, did the show. But Bravo is very housewife centric, like El Cid said.
Okay, so you said no. What were some of the expectations that you had that it did not match up to? I know you said obviously they were sold differently to you. What were some of the other expectations that you had that it just didn't line up the way that you experienced the show?
We didn't know how many ladies. I think that was shocking for me. So how many ladies? And they said the 3 celebrity men. We didn't know who the men were. So we didn't know how many ladies, but I think just like on the date with that, does this feel like a date? It just didn't feel romantic. I think that tone and temperature of the show is more competitive and could do more of the romance side of it. Some people had chemistry and romance, but I think a lot of it lacked dates. I mean, the dates were late. And one-on-one dates, I would say. Group dates are cool, but one-on-one dates. Hey, my Aunt Bev is on here. I have to shout her out. She was on the show. Aunt Bev. Hello. She's on the show also. Hello.
We appreciate it. Okay, so the dates weren't very romantic as you wanted to feel it as well. Okay, scooting back a little bit before we go forward again. Obviously, knowing that there was going to be 3 celebrities, you didn't actually know who the people were, right?
Right, not at all.
So you didn't know at what point did you guys find out? Is it because obviously we're seeing the camera, obviously you guys come in, but is it at that point that you find out who they are, or do you guys kind of have a preliminary before that moment?
When you guys saw it on camera, that's when we saw it. Even when they were setting it up in the room, we were out of the way. That was a genuine reaction when we saw the 3. Well, 2, because Thaddeus was still behind stage. But when we saw Carlos and Tyson, when Rodney and Holly brought us out.
Damn. So it was fresh like that. Okay. So we know that obviously your eye caught Thaddeus, but that's what they tell us on the edit. I want to know from your experience, you see those men come out, you get to see all 3 of them. Obviously, Thaddeus came a little bit later on, but still, all 3 of them. I know it says that you had your eye on Thaddeus, but that's editing. I want the unedited version. Was it Thaddeus that was first, that one that caught your eye? Or was it both?
I think it was Tyson first.
Okay.
Even in that seat, Carlos had like a somewhat of a wall up. You could feel it. I mean, he scanned the ladies, but you could feel it even from that moment. But I think Tyson first, because he was sitting there with Carlos, and then when Thaddeus came out, he was like thunder, no lightning, just all thunder.
What that mean?
You're right. What does that mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I wanted to know, what does it mean?
He's just thunder. Like, he's loud. You feel his presence there. Him throwing the men around in the ring was crazy.
Come on.
It was wild. Yeah.
Would you say that Thaddeus is your usual type, or you don't have a type, maybe?
He's louder than my usual type. I tend to have taller men, which is not. Okay. I wouldn't say a preference, but my family is on their Star, Bev. They would probably say I tend to have taller men.
Okay. You got giants.
Yeah, I guess so. They're all over 6'3", 6'5", 6'7". So.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, the wrestling moment, El Cid. Yep. So.
So what first drew you towards Thaddeus, except the Thundering? I mean, after you've seen him, what then drives you more towards Thaddeus? If that's because again, it's editing will tell us that, but I'm sure you might have had a conversation with all the kings at that point. What drove you towards Thaddeus to want to get to know him a bit more?
So I had my first date with Tyson. So I was drawn to Tyson first, and then Thaddeus. With all of the kings, I my style is more courting. I'm a slow burn. I like to observe. And then I said, yep, giants. And I'm a slow burn. So I like to observe. I'm cool with seeing my guy in a setting just to see how he interacts with other people. And that's how you learn. You learn who the person is. So initially it was Tyson. We went on the hip hop date, and then
you did.
I observed Thaddeus a lot in the house. And it was a lot. He was loud, but I some of the things I like about Thaddeus, all the kings are awesome. But Thaddeus, he's very socially responsible. He likes his charities, his great father, his kids, and in the house, and Ariel's online. She can probably attest to this as well. They really took care of us. They wanted to make sure that we were taken care of in the house and we had what we needed. And I appreciate them for that.
Okay. Well, listen, I've got a little clip, of the breakdowns.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've got a question actually. Yeah, I've got a little clip. So I've got a question for you. So I'll play a little bit of clip for you.
All right, line up, ladies.
Is the queen. Is the queen.
Yes.
The most valuable
is the king.
The king is protected by.
Well, I think I chopped off the part I was meant to edit. I think I pressed it too quickly, so I didn't get the full dancing aspect. But you made a comment in the break dancing that you wanted to win. So it's not your MO, but you wanted to win. Tell us a bit more about that date that you had with the ladies, getting thrust into that arena, into almost a dance battle, which automatically creates competition. What was that like for you, and how did you experience that date from your perspective?
So first of all, I won all of my dance challenges. You guys can tell I like to win. But anyway, I won the costume wrestling one, and then also the hip hop dance. I am a dancer. I've danced many styles of dancing. I love kizomba and compa, by the way.
Okay, what do you know about that?
So I was excited. It was a dance event. Is it a good first date? Probably not, but it was fun, and I'm always up for adventure. So it was cool. It was a cool date, but not my ideal first date.
I mean, how was the competition element of the date? Because again, it's not, like you said, it's not very romantic, but you're thrown into a competition straight away. How was that kind of angle for you?
That was fun. I anticipated some of that. Not quite the wrestling one. That was interesting. They just told us to go out there and give a performance. And I said, say less.
You really did say less.
And it's just fun. It's fun for me. Again, the adventure of it all. I was excited for both the hip hop challenge and the costume and the wrestling.
Well, I do have a clip for the wrestling. And I'm intrigued to another question. Oh, I do. Because Electra came out.
Radiates like the sun. But don't worry.
Okay, Electra.
Yeah, Electra.
Oh, Lord.
50-year-old timeless woman. My edge and advantage is having experience.
Timeless. Yes, ladies, timeless. Hi, Bree Bree. Timeless.
Okay. As the younglings would say, clock it. What inspired the Electra character? Because that was a very powerful, seductive character. What inspired Electra?
So a lot of things were intentional. I packed things similar to that black and white dress. I knew it had the chest on it. I said they'll remember me from the chest neckline. But Electra is actually one of my best friends. She's my brother's ex-wife, but she and I are really close friends. She lost her mom, and her mom's name is Electra. And I didn't tell anyone about anything on the show. And so when she saw the episode, she called me. She said, oh, my God. And I had the costume and I was Googling names and all the names were like Aphrodite. And then I said, well, Electra. Let me look that up. So it was cool having her call me and just experiencing the show with like my Aunt Bev, with her, and intertwining elements of other people in there. My earrings were my daughter's third grade teacher's earring line. So I was intentional about incorporating some of that stuff in the show.
Okay, very intentional. Very going back to the roots of thrift shopping, as you were saying, you're using what you have in your hand, resources. I can see this. Okay, all right, I hear it. I hear it. What? How was the reception? I know that you know. I think Thaddeus even stood up when he saw you come out. At that point, you know, how was the reception by the men when you came out? Were you able to see that? Were you paying attention? Were you just involved in the performance? Because you know, I think you can act as well. I can see that. You know,
they were catcalling when we were out. They gave us energy, and I told them I would give them energy if they gave me energy. And so that livened things up a lot. Okay. I'm with you. Now you had a conversation with Tyson on the floor. I've got a clip for you. So I wanted to get because obviously, like you said, Tyson was the person that you first kind of had those conversations with. But you guys, obviously, he didn't want kids. No, he wanted kids, and you didn't want necessarily kids again. So that's what kind of brought a split between the two of you. So I did want to get your perspective on this aspect.
All right, line up, ladies. Is the queen.
Is the queen.
Yes.
The most valuable
Is the king.
The king is protected by the queen.
Yes.
So you have to.
So the chess memories are always good as well. You guys had a conversation around kids, having kids or not having kids. You spoke about chess as well. What was that interaction like between you and Tyson? And what was your kind of thought process in terms of your perception of Tyson at that particular moment as well?
So in that first of all, when we won the date, they said, you won a one-on-one date with Tyson. I'm thinking, yay. And it was through the door. So I thought, where's my date? It was right there in the next room. And we got a chance to talk. He was very just open. He has a great personality about himself. I know the show paints him as like a woman luster, but he's almost just he's timeless. He has a timeless spirit to him where he's just enjoying life, and he gets to do that, right? He gets to enjoy the ladies that come in his life and the experiences that come in that conversation. He talked a lot about his son and his modeling career and just, you know, being from Jamaica. So that was cool just to hear more about him one-on-one.
Did it, I know that Everton showed that you guys kind of split, but did it end there between you and Tyson in terms of going forward because of that conversation around kids? It's funny
because Tyson around the house, he would say, because I would joke and say, I'm on Thaddeus's team. He's like, no, you're still on my team. He would joke and say that. And Tyson and I had we had all good interactions with the men in the house, but yeah, pretty much because he had a lot on his plate. He had a lot.
I mean, did you join the list?
I did initially, but I don't have a problem with the list. And here's why I
don't have.
Thank you. You either? You don't have a problem with it?
No. I just think he's not very good at organizing, and that was a good way of him organizing.
Yeah, because they got on him about not being intentional. I felt like that was a deliberate way of scheduling time because he was so overwhelmed. You know, most of us knew Tyson Beckford. He was the Tyson Beckford. Most of us didn't really know Thaddeus. He's a very popular wrestler, but if you didn't follow wrestling, and I didn't know Carlos, but you know, if you knew basketball, you would know him. But most of the ladies, if not all, knew Tyson. So he was overwhelmed with so much. So the list helped him to schedule. You know, it was speed dating to me. I didn't see a problem with it.
No, I understand that as well. Okay, so you know, yourself in that place, you guys had a conversation, you and Thaddeus in episode 3. I'll just play a little clip for you.
Entrance, and then I thought, whoa! And all the ladies were like gasping, mouths open, and I was fixed on you. To make a connection, you have to move fast. The OGs, they still have their punches in them, but don't count me out. I may have to work a little bit harder.
You guys had a conversation about him being poor and not being able to afford things, and he cut out magazines and stuff like that as well, right? And you said, yeah, I also was the exact same way in that particular aspect. What was going on at that moment between you and Thaddeus? What was the kind of conversation that was happening? Did you feel a connection at that point as well with Thaddeus, or was it something that was kind of growing at that point for you?
I did. So in that, a large part of me going to the elimination, I had a positive response to it. I didn't throw a tantrum. I was shocked because I just got in the house. I hadn't even fully unpacked. And so to go to elimination the first night, I was shocked, but I said, well, let me get cute and let me go have this conversation and get to know. So it was very open-ended with my expectations of the conversations, but I was deliberate about trying to really get to know them. And my conversation with Thaddeus, there was chemistry there. You know, you saw a little bit of the volleying of the smiles and like, okay, I see you. Okay, we'll see what's here. And it was great because there were so many people in the house at that point. I think that may have been the peak. It was the peak when the next episode was a peak in the house, and which was very fast after that.
What was it like trying to get time with the Kings? I know we always know Tyson developed a list, but what was it like getting time with the Kings in terms of with all the ladies being and vying for that, you know, that space and that time? Because it almost felt like, you know, there was a lot of you and not enough of them. So what was that like for you, and what was your strategy? Okay,
so
what was your strategy?
Cousin Stark? So my strategy was observing. I think that I was peripheral a lot. And so for some of the episodes, I wasn't front line, but I was there. Similar to the episode where Tari was having the conversation, I was there at the table and I was observing, just trying to see. And you learn much from observing and not just being like in their face. But it was hard being assertive. I think all of the queens had main character syndrome, all of us. And we're used to that in our daily life. Very beautiful, accomplished, professional women. So to be in a position where we had to extend being assertive and inviting and be creative, there's a lot that doesn't show in the show with us trying to do that. We would cook. I cooked one night for everyone in the house. Some of us would cook. Some of us would, you know, do yoga by the pool and things like that. So you would try to, but it was a constant pull and yank just to get time. It was hard. It was very hard, especially when the perfect matches came. It was very, very hard.
When the perfect matches came, and you're obviously observing, what did you see?
I was excited to see what this perfect matchmaker could do. I said, well, she has statistics and she's so I was excited. I think I even said it in the clip. I was like, well, let's see. And so when they came in, it was almost like they were perceived different. Like, you know, production gave them different liberties than they gave us and different time too. Exclusive time. So it almost didn't feel fair because we weren't afforded the same liberties. I mean, you saw one clip, Kalia was leaving. We weren't able to leave. You know, she was leaving. Thaddeus was walking her to the car. And so I don't feel like that element was fair.
Okay.
80 cents matchmaker. Yep. That's right.
Yep. Yep. So obviously Khalil, we had Jennifer, and we also got another lady's name. I do apologize. Her name, the opera singer. Is she opera singer? Yes,
Allison.
her name is going to be
Allison.
Thank you, Allison. Yes. They obviously came in. They were the perfect matchmaking in that aspect. Okay. So they came in. I think they came in just a little bit later, not too much later. At that point, before the perfect matches come in, what's the state of your connections then? I don't know if you were still connected with Tyson at that point, but what was the state of your connection with Thaddeus? If there was a one with Tyson at that point, you can let us know. What was your state of your connection at that point?
How did you feel very fast after we came into the house. So it was difficult to ramp up a opportunity to have a connection. It was very fast. It was like the next day that they swooped them in. And so it was hard because, you know, there was no time to do it. It wasn't afforded the time to do it.
Oh. So you barely had, oh.
You're right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so at that point, okay, when the match is coming then, at that point, what are you thinking about your time on the show then? Because I guess it's not the longest time, a period of time on the show, right? On TV, sorry. And not the longest time you're going to spend in the house, but you need to make connections with this person. You need to be able to get to know them. You need to be able to understand them. You need to be able to really define, you know, your future ambitions, goals, and all that kind of stuff, the compatibility issues. At what point did you get to discuss some of those deeper conversations that one needs to have to really deepen the connection with somebody? For you, at what point were you able to have that conversation with Thaddeus?
So with Thaddeus, the conversation that Tari had at the table was very emotionally charged. We all felt that conversation.
That was a very heavy conversation.
You could see all the clips of Idolize, the Nitra. You could see our faces were just, you know, stunned. And it was very intense. He and I had a conversation after that, just to talk about that. It was a very, very emotional thing. It's who he is. He was shaped by how, you know, his mom being 12. And so that's who he is. So a lot of that, of course, is not shown on the show, but those types of situations would happen where something, a conversation would occur, and then you know, have a happen chance conversation to bring it back up. Tell me more about what happened and how did that affect you? So those types of things did happen on the show, but you can't, you know, put the magic into 45 minutes.
So when did you get to have that conversation? And I don't want necessarily his mom, but
right,
when did you get to have those deep conversations?
It was that same night.
Oh. And did you feel that the level of depth? I know, because I know Thaddeus is a deep person, but I'm saying to you, for you personally, did you feel like you had covered a level of depth in that conversation that was comfortable in terms of like really saying that you're getting to know somebody?
No, because Thaddeus has a volume similar in the winery. When I said he speaks in all exclamation points, he does. He's very loud, and he can be. But in the opposite side, he can be very soft and vulnerable. And so we would have glimpses of that throughout the house. I would have those in conversations with him. And but that conversation about that with Tari kicked it off with us having, you know, more closeness.
Okay. So, you know, I don't want to jump to the episode 8 yet, because I'm there's 5 episodes in between that time, and I'm really trying to understand. Then we know he's thunder. We know that he might have quiet and he may be a little bit loud at points. We know he has that dichotomy. But you know what I'm missing? I feel like I'm missing a whole chunk of stuff, like in terms of like for you guys. I don't know, and again, I don't know if you managed to have that. I'm missing like, you know, were there any cute moments for you two? Like any, you know, emotional, you know what I'm saying?
We're encouraged not to talk about it. We have to stay into the edit world, right? We're not supposed to talk about it, but go with that. Very much so. I think a lot of the ladies, and Bria's on here, the way that it's edited is absolutely intentional. It's entertainment, right? And a lot of those were missing. And that's what my feedback was at the beginning of the show, is that I think this could have been like a 20 episode show. Give some type of connection. It lacks the romance of it all and the connections, because you should feel eliminations and feel like, man, you know, they had a chance or something. And I feel like even with Ariel, when you look at Ariel, she's missing from like a lot of the episodes leading up to now.
So, okay. So, I mean, you don't have to answer it because, of course, it's not an edit. But I want to know then. So, what? Tell us a bit more about the connection between you and Thaddeus, because honestly, I didn't see anything I really didn't see anything. Honestly, into episode 8, we have this combustible moment, but I don't want to get to that maybe just yet. But it's like before that point, I don't even know how we can even get to that place if we're not even really having that many conversations.
Exactly, because it wasn't showed. So it was like that date felt forced because they didn't show any of that. But we absolutely did have conversations and things like that. And I think for much of that time, it was very apparent that we didn't have time. We didn't have time to do it because production was setting up certain people and scenarios to edit. And so I was happy to finally get a good date. I think I had one of the best one-on-one dates there because that seafood tower. Yeah, that seafood tower. But there weren't enough dates on the show. I felt like we should have had more one-on-one times, or they could have done maybe a game like Would You Rather or Truth or Dare, something like that. I don't know, but something where we could all collectively get to know each other. Pop the Balloon does it. Like raise your hand if you have kids.
What was Thaddeus? Did you feel like Thaddeus pursued you enough in this show? Like,
no, definitely not. I think he had his hands full. In my observation, I do feel that Thaddeus aligns himself with a certain echelon. I think it means something to him to have a doctor tagline. I don't know if it's something, I don't know, but he's a very sapio person. Say it again.
You mean maybe the healing he was looking at? Yeah.
Okay, we're getting into it now. So he's a sapio. I'm a sapio as well, and I like I'm a thinker, but I think that means something to him, having a certain echelon aligned with him. I don't know if he has a doctorate, but that's important. And also in the show, they made it seem like certain people were the only ones that had jobs, or had acronyms with their names, but all of the ladies had, very impressive careers. And so, yeah.
Yeah, because so what do you see in him? Because at this point, I don't know what you see, bro. As a man that will speak, I don't know what you saw.
Give me a second to laugh. I think that
I mean, we know he's
I was seeing the course through. I wanted to see it through and just to be afforded the opportunity of a date. But yeah, I don't feel like we had. There are people in the house that I felt like he had stronger connections with, and I could see them, I could observe them. But I just wanted to afford myself the opportunity to have a date, to have a conversation. I wanted to talk about, our charities, our social activities, our careers, our upbringing. That date did not happen like that at all.
So basically, we didn't really get much connection.
No, not at all. We didn't see that at all. Nope. I think they had me sitting next to him once or twice in the episodes leading up to that. But yeah, very, very minimal.
You didn't get to sleep on the sofa with him either? Dr. Khalil was sleeping on the sofa with him. You didn't get to sleep on the sofa with him?
No.
No,
I have some comments.
You didn't get a sunbed?
I'll be good.
You didn't get a sunbed moment either? None of that too? You don't know, one-on-one in the pool? None of that stuff? Okay. So I know our time's gonna run out, so we'll touch on this a little bit. Episode 8, right? We'll just touch on this. I want to just touch on the incident that happened between you and Dr. Khalil, and I'll leave that part. Maybe we can do part 2. We can talk about the actual conversation you and Thaddeus actually had, because I ain't gonna lie to you. I think I now know why the argument happened, but I still want to be able to understand it in terms of your particular perspective, because it starts off like this.
Can I ask you a favor? Tonight is my date night. I'm asking for you to focus on me.
Why wouldn't I?
Starting now. Ready, Psycho?
Yeah.
Why are you asking him to focus on you?
Well, you know why. We know why, right? In the chat, we know why, because it felt like he was always swished away, or the focus was not there. And, when Holly said, okay, clear the house, let them have their time for their date, I wanted him to slice time in half and give me my, time for a focused date. I felt like I needed to say that because, and we saw why. And I thought it was interesting. He said, why would you say that? And then promptly do the thing that is why I had to say that. So.
Okay, so when you were talking to him and you sat on his lap at that point in time, did you feel like you were connected at that point? Do you feel like he was involved, he was present in that moment?
I did. He and I were excited about picking out our clothes, and we were excited about the day. We had we always had good energy. Earlier that day in the house, he said, "Man," he's like, "You're the only person in the house that doesn't stress me out." He had said that to me in the laundry room. So it shocked me later when we had that in the room, and I brushed it off because I was so focused. I was like, I want to enjoy my time, but I felt like I had to say that because he is easily distracted. And I want to say this too. As a woman, I'm playing chess too. People will say, "Oh, you're going to show the clip with Clea, right?" So I can wait.
Yeah. No, which one? The one where the kiss on the forehead?
If whether I said that or not, whether I said that statement or not, if I'm with a guy and he catcalls another woman, and then he allows her to kiss on their head, even though his head is minor, right? But if he allows that, that's telling me all I need to know. Clea was testing. He was known for testing, but I was testing also because I was affirming that, okay, this is not my king. This is not very king behavior, because my king would absolutely make me feel like a queen. And I don't feel like I lost, because that is not my king. He's inherently not my king. So I don't feel like I lost. And, Clea came in there, as I said, peacocking, but it affirms that someone that is going to be, men take care of what they protect and take care of what they care about. And it's clear that he was aligned to her, and that's okay. But be respectful to the moment and just honor the moment. And that's all I was asking.
Okay, I'll play a little clip. Here you go.
I just gave him a little kiss on the forehead. I was saying goodbye.
Huh? What's that?
Okay, so I get it. You said obviously focus on you, etc. Dr. Khalil, what? First of all, why are we in that scene in the first place? I don't understand. What's happening? Why were we in the room?
We were gonna dress. We were together.
Okay, so you guys want to put your clothes together. Dr. Khalil's obviously coming out of the shower. She's obviously then gone out. She might play a little game. She ended up kissing him on the forehead. What was okay? So I don't really hear the cat calling. Maybe I missed it in actual.
He said, "Okay."
Okay, yeah, he did. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he said, "Okay." Yeah, I remember that. He did say, "Okay." Okay, so he says that, and then she gives a kiss on the forehead. And then for you feel like in that space at that point, he's not focusing on you. What would you have rather him have done in that particular moment for you to feel more secure in your connection with him?
So he's allowed to do what he wants to do. But in that moment, if we just made that team agreement, he and I, and he's my date, and I said, starting now, I would expect for him to not catcall. It was, he's gonna look. She's in a towel, and the towel was hiked up to her, portal. Her. So I felt like, as a man, he's gonna look, and she bent over. But to catcall, I felt like that action was disrespectful. And it opened the door, whether or not someone in the comments said whether or not Clea was coaxed by the production. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But he was sitting there and, I made the agreement with him. So it was more about breaking the agreement than an insecurity because, she was in a towel. A man is going to look. No one was harmed. No one was harmed, right? But I didn't like that after that, she tried to get in the bathroom because she clearly knew I had a date. We were getting dressed. And the other bathroom, she could have clearly went downstairs. For her to come up there and come into the bathroom, she saw my thing. So it was disruptive. And in that moment, I felt like she said something to me first. I ignored it. If you saw the clip, I turned and I kind of laughed because I knew what was going on. But when she said, are you in here? Are these your things? You know it is. You know.
Mm.
So that was disruptive, and I thought was disrespectful for her. And then because my date and her did not respect my boundaries, I felt like I should advocate for myself and say, I don't do that on your time. And I didn't say what they did. I said what I don't do. I don't do that on your time. And then I think at the end I said, see, this is what I'm talking about. This was actually why I asked for him to focus.
Did you have any extended conversation? Did you have any extended conversation with Thaddeus around, sorry, not with Thaddeus, with Khalil around what you felt like was her breaking the boundary in terms of, like, you know, setting up the bathroom there when she could have gone somewhere else? Did you have any further conversations with her about that particular baby?
No. And here's why. You said that I'm concise in the earlier part of the interview. And I don't waste words. I think it would be a waste of words to have that conversation with her, because whether it was production or not, right? It doesn't matter. And whether it was innocent of her, you know, doing that is not the point. It's the respecting of the time and disruption in the bathroom. She knew I had a date.
Okay. Okay. No, I hear you. Okay. I guess last question, because I know the time has passed now.
We can go about 7 more minutes. We're good.
7 minutes? Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so I have another clip. I'm going to go forward before I go back, because I don't want to touch that main conversation. We've got a part 2 we've got to do, and I want you to be able to go full in and explain it all the way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Start from start to finish. I just need you to explain what happened here, whether this is production or you. I just need you to explain it.
What the man?
So I could put it over here. My date was ruined. He stormed out the date. And I am highly offended. I do not want to speak to that man ever again.
Okay,
I need you
so
to
in the chat,
Catherine.
what do you guys think? What do you think the production made me do it? And I need all my friends in the chat to say, I would never.
I need production to have told you to do that. I need them to have forced you.
It's good entertainment. It's good entertainment. I would never do that. I would never. And I wouldn't disrupt. I'm not even the type to tell someone else about my relationship, because I think that's important too. So to go and, you know, be the singing bird. My date is ruined. I fought back on that, and they're pinging me now. I do have to go, but I fought back against that. I took my time making those plays, because I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to say? But you know, it's good entertainment. It's funny to see people say that, because here I was, production, brilliant, because here I was upset about being disrespected and immediately being disrespectful. So it's good entertainment.
Okay. Well, to round it up, one word to describe that conversation that you had with Thaddeus at the end in episode 8, when you guys argue. I want you to have one word to describe that interaction with Thaddeus.
Okay. Which interaction? At the fire pit or at the dinner table?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good one. Okay. Let's talk about the actual supposed meant to be date that you're supposed to have. One word to describe that interaction.
One word, I would say narcissist. So one of my pet peeves is I don't like someone to require something of you that they're not willing to extend themselves. So don't impose a rule on me that you're not going to oblige, because that's not cool. So I felt like, if you watch the clip, I'm listening to him. I listen, actively listening. I was conflict avoidant. I didn't bring it up. I'm excited. And the audacity for him to bring up his feelings about what he felt was wrong, and that wasn't okay with him, but he just totally deflected from him catcalling, and he didn't want to talk about that part. And so in that situation, I think I hate the word narcissist, but that's the word that I'm like. Yeah, anyone else have a word? Leave some words down there. Chat it up in the comments. I would say hungry. Hungry is a good word for that. And I would say avocation. Avocation is a good. That's a better word. I'm non-joking or attacking because I don't want to. This is not a bad.
No. But it's your experience.
But I would say avocation because advocating was really what I felt suppressed about. I didn't feel like I felt like I was being scolded and told. But then when I expressed, it was asserted over that, and as I mentioned about my ex-husband, he would just listen. He knew I was smart, wasn't petty. He would just listen to my side. And see, he was not a match for me. Not a match.
Wow, listen, Catherine, the queen. It has been a pleasure, playing chess with you in this conversation. We're going to have to park it here. But I love that you ended on that note because it does set us up for part 2, because we do need to unpack that, right? I think that episode 8 and that conversation between you and Thaddeus, because as you've stated, like you felt like you weren't allowed to advocate and have your voice in that scenario. So I'm intrigued to get to part 2 to be able to unpack that a bit more and understand your position on that particular aspect. So first of all, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
You're
awesome. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone else, for joining and supporting. The comments are funny.
Listen, they're a good bunch, So we'll arrange our part 2. But audience members, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Stay locked and loaded and behave yourselves. All right. Ta-ra, ta-ra.